Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whenever you're watching the show. I'm Mark Zuberek. We're here with the topics of the town news. Today we have a special guest, but first of all, my standard guest is Tony Betancourt. So
Hello,
welcome,
Davis.
Tony.
Thank you.
And what we're trying to do is Selectman race is coming up, and we have two candidates with us today. Kevin Berich
You got it. Yeah.
and Sandy Franceschini. So I got it right, didn't I?
Close.
Close, okay. So what I wanted to do today is give both of our two candidates an opportunity to present their case and their individual positions. But before we get to that, I want to welcome everyone, but the agenda and the opinions are solely by the topics of the town host, our guests, contributors, and commentators.
Yes.
So what we want to make sure the disclaimer is clear. Today's quote, like I've always been using on my show, today's quote is very appropriate to what we're going to be discussing today. Be flexible, but stick to your principles. Now, a willow tree goes into many different directions and sways with the wind, but like I've been saying for years, we need to stick to our principles. And we can adapt or adopt somebody else's position, but we need to be able to look at ourselves. Hey, this is what I stand for. So, welcome, and I have a disclaimer of my own. This is a disclaimer that I've put together because I've heard so much about that I have been accused of being a conspiracy theorist. So everything is a conspiracy. We have to be careful. But my interest is always for the good of the residents. And every single one of our guests and commentators and Tony and I have been always interested in what the residents need. The residents are the engine that makes this town, and taxes are the currency of our government. Now, we spend an awful lot, but we do get significant amount of services that we have determined to be something that we need. And that's a reflection of a town. Today we'll focus on our elections and appointments of leaders for our community. So first and foremost, I don't know whether it's going to be ladies first or gentlemen. I'm going to go with ladies first.
Okay.
And what I would like to do is give an opportunity to Sandy. Why, what are your positions? What is your candidacy all about? Could you give us an opportunity to view who you are, what you're going to do, and how you're going to determine our future?
Well,
Sandy, you're on.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Sandy Franceschini, and I'm running for Select Board because I love Danvers. The Danvers we all know, with its quiet streets, open spaces, and that small town feel we call home. I'm a mom, a neighbor, and someone who's lived here long enough to see what makes this town special. I'm not here with big political promises or fancy speeches. I'm here because I want to keep our town our town. Lately, it feels like there's pressure coming at us from all sides. Development mandates, calls for more growth, more buildings, and more crowding. I'm worried about what that means for our kids, our families, and the way of life we've built here. I don't want Danvers to turn to just another overpacked suburb where we lose what makes us unique. That's why I'm stepping up, and I want to fight for us, to push back against those outside rules that don't fit who we are, and most importantly, to fight for our children's future, because the decisions we make today will affect them the most. If I'm on the select board, my focus will be simple. Keep Danvers a town, not a city. That means saying no to unnecessary development and yes to protecting our green spaces, our neighborhoods, and our schools from getting overwhelmed. I'll listen to you, to the parents at the park, to the folks who've been here forever, because this isn't about my ideas alone. It's about what we all want for Danvers. I'll work hard to make sure our voices decide our future. I'm not a politician by trade, I'm just someone who cares. I see my kids playing in the yard, and I want them to grow up in the same kind of town I did. I know we can't stop time, but we can stop runaway growth that doesn't belong here. With your support, I'll bring that fight to the select board. Practical, stubborn, and all about keeping Danvers the way we love it. Thank you, and I'd be honored to have your vote.
Excellent. Now, you should publish that because it is
I was going to clap, but I...
well, you can clap.
Yeah,
It's
thank you,
okay.
Tony. Thank you. I love this town very, very much.
That's
Awesome
what
town.
it's all about,
Right.
and that's why we're all trying to make it as good as it's been
Yes.
and maybe better.
Right.
So, Kevin, I would like to introduce you and get your position and your statement, and then I'll ask some questions.
All right, I'm ready.
Go for it.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Barrich, or good evening. I don't know when you're, or good morning, like Mark said. I don't know when you're going to watch this. But I'm a candidate for select board. Like Sandy, I'm also a parent, a Danvers resident. I'm a veteran. I have my kind of career in cybersecurity, and I'm running because local government matters a lot to me. Besides national defense and foreign relations and things like that our federal government has to do, local government does about everything for me that I want a government to do. It educates my kids. It shows up on your worst day with police and fire and EMS. It picks up your trash, keeps the streets clean. It's important, and I think it's worth doing, and it's worth doing well, and I'd like to be a part of that. Like Sandy, I'm also concerned with overdevelopment. New development is inevitable in every town, right? Sometimes just for the age of buildings, buildings have to get replaced sometimes, and you know, if Danvers weren't developed at some point, we wouldn't all have the houses we have here and the opportunities that we have here. So, but you know, there's a limit. Just about every lot in town is built out. There's not a whole lot more room. There are no more, you know, Woodvale-sized developments coming for Danvers. The land doesn't exist for that. And at the same time, I really agree with Sandy that, you know, we need to keep our character as a town, and I think that's really important. I also am concerned about transparency in local government. I want to ensure that the public has their say. As Mark pointed out, they should have their say at the beginning of the meeting before the issue is decided, and have their voice heard and have the opportunity to influence elected officials in town and share their opinion. I think there's also been some cases where we've inappropriately used executive sessions to shield important issues and important conversations from the public, and we need to put an end to that. Government needs to be transparent. It's our government, and we deserve to know what it's doing. I also am running because I see the fiscal situation that the town's in, and I think we really need to ensure fiscal responsibility in our budget. We're going to keep spending money, no doubt about it, but we want to put every dollar to the best use possible. We're frankly slated to have more expenses than we have income over the next few years, which means hard choices are going to have to be made. And I would like to be a part of making those hard choices and making sure that your tax dollars are put to the best possible use that they can be. Thanks very much, and I would appreciate your vote on May 6th.
Thank you, Kevin. Tony, are you running for anything?
No.
No?
Tommy.
Tony's running for the hills.
Well, then let's get...
I should be all fine.
No, just...
Not
My name's Tony Betancourt. I'm running for town meeting member of Precinct 5. I'm to be reelected more or less, and that's basically it.
You're an incumbent.
Exactly.
You're an incumbent.
And I don't think they have enough in my precinct already anyways, by the looks of it. And that's what they just said the other day, so.
Well, my precinct's got, I
Yes.
think, 8,
Well,
which is good.
yeah, they haven't filled
That's
mine up
why
yet.
I said, that's okay, let them do it. But one thing that I wanted to address is you are currently looking over the politics and the establishment of what the town is really like. See, the problem I have is that I have 30 years worth of that knowledge, and they know it. The thing is that we need to have fresh faces and fresh ideas from our residents, and that's where you're coming from. So the issue behind our story today is that welcome aboard to the Race for Select Board. I always say selectmen, but
That's
that's
fine.
how it used to be. And even the women at that time were called selectmen. So we're getting to be more, what do you call it?
More inclusive?
Oh, right, fine, fine. That's
Selectman is
my,
the title. It doesn't mean anything
Right,
gender
they changed,
reference.
they
Yeah,
changed
it's
these
just a
stupid
title.
things for no reason at all.
I know that.
Yes,
So one of the things that I wanted to bring up is as candidates for the town Board of Selectmen, you have recently been involved in the, or at least listened, because we were not able to get involved in the selection of the new town manager, because that's the way the system goes. What are your expectations from your participation with the new town manager? Because we don't know her very well. We know some aspects of her function in Gloucester, but her function in Gloucester is more related to a mayoral type government. We are unique in this town. We're the town government, and our town manager is under a separate legislative act that gives him or her a lot more power than a mayor even. So I just want to ask a quick question is, what are your impressions of the selection process and the selection itself? So Sandy?
Well, it's mostly the town that handles that. And they just notify us and let us know who's running as the candidates. And they supply us with their resumes and their work history and everything else. So, but the thing that I didn't agree with was they didn't allow the public to kind of chime in. I mean, we were allowed to send letters to them and let them know how we felt about the candidates themselves. I did some research on both of them as well. Was not happy to see some of the findings that I found for one particular candidate, but I was happy to see that everything was pretty well with Jill Cahill, excuse me. So I was pretty happy to see that. And it seemed that she had encountered some issues with her, with a couple of departments, and it seemed like she was able to figure out a way to solve the problem that they had. So I think it seems like she sounds like a team player, that she's willing to get in and focus on what the problem is and have a solution. And
That
she
depends
did.
on what team she's on.
Right. Well, at least she gave it a shot. She tried. She didn't
good.
dodge anything or ignored. And
You know, it's beyond the reach of the public because the decision has been made.
right.
But the thing is that we need to dig a lot deeper
Right.
than like what Mr. Bennett was telling us the other night. This will probably take about a month to negotiate a contract
Right.
and also investigate what other issues are buried in there.
Okay. That may arise. You mean in substitute.
That's right. Kevin, how about you? What did you think of the process?
You know, I thought that the process was a little opaque as to how the process was going to run. I thought Dr. Joko, I think, many times on the board tried to get clarification on what step was coming next, at what point the board would have input, and I kind of got shot down a little bit. I thought. So
Well, I got shut down too.
yeah, so I think even from some members of the board, I don't think the process was as clear and open as it could have been. I wish that the way we had gone out to find candidates had been. I wish we'd cast the net a little broader. I wish every state in New England essentially has the same system or similar system of town government that we have in Massachusetts, and it seemed like we only got candidates from Massachusetts.
Local.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So it would have been nice to, I think even when Steve Bartha was selected, I think he came from Connecticut, if I remember. So
Yes.
it seems like at one point we cast a pretty wide net, and this time we cast a pretty narrow net, and maybe limited our candidates that way. So that's all kind of process stuff. But now the selection's been made, and I think that we had some good people on that search committee. The select board had access to more information certainly than I had, so I trust that they made the best decision that they could have made under the circumstances, and it was unanimous. It was 5-0.
No, that's the only way a town manager or a superintendent is ever elected. And they do not, I know that for sure because that's what happened to us. We do not elect a minority candidate with minority votes because that makes it difficult for them to coexist with the establishment.
That makes sense. But now that Jill Cahill's been selected, I want Jill to succeed. Right? We all do. She's there. For all of our success, we need Jill to succeed. So
We may want to invite her to the show.
that would be great.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, Steve, when Steve Bartha first came on, he came on the show twice.
Wow.
And it was very interesting to hear what his positions were, but then they changed. So, that's fine. Thank you. Tony, how about you? What did you think?
I thought it was at the end. I don't know. I thought they should have waited a little bit longer and maybe picked one out again. But that's not what they wanted to do. They chose this way. So I'm hoping they did the right thing, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, we did have 3 candidates. One had pulled out at the end, so when we ended up with 2. And I don't know. To me, I think it could have been a better choice, but I'm not 100% sure. I have to take it to the Board of Selectmen did a good job, and the people that did everything did a good thing. And I'm hoping that we have a good candidate in Jill. I'm hoping she can fulfill our fulfillment.
Well, that's a very interesting statement because this is the first time in our existence in the town that we'll have a woman as town manager, which is interesting.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
No, there's something good about that.
Exactly.
Maybe she'll straighten out the mess.
Yes. That's what we're hoping for.
Right.
But the thing is, this whole process was basically led by our consultant. And I think the consultant failed the town. But we'll see.
Well, exactly.
We'll
We have to let it play out now.
We'll just move on. One of the things that I wanted to bring up is that we do have other races that are happening, but I just to bring everybody up to speed, I have a list of. This list is getting longer and longer. I don't know. You
Can't
guys.
get any longer, can it?
Well, it can. I mean,
I know, but,
it's only 7 right now.
Hopefully, they'll bring the people up. That's what I'm hoping for.
So we have Kevin on there, and he filed his papers. And we have Dan Bennett, who filed his papers. He's the incumbent. And he's been around for 16 years, I believe.
Maybe longer. I'm not even sure.
I think it's at least 16. Michael Baxter is another one that filed his papers. He's filed his papers in March. Gardner Trask is back.
God, please, no.
And, well, that's,
He's done enough damage to the town. Please, sit aside.
The town needs to determine what the town wants to be.
I'm hoping
and
it's a
who
no.
is going
That's
to be
all I can
led
say.
by. Sandy is Francis Keeney. Now, do you mind that pronunciation,
No,
or
not
is
at
that the
all.
proper pronunciation?
The proper pronunciation is Francis Key-Nee.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's even different. So that doesn't even sound Italian.
I know, right? Well, you can call me Fettuccine too. That'll be okay.
That would be much easier.
Yeah, it would be, right?
The other candidates are Natalie Fiore and Mark Lentini. So that ends up with 7 people. The one thing that I'm very concerned about is that you two have been active in campaigning and offering yourselves up for candidacy since early February. Some of the latecomers have come in March. So it'll be interesting how this turns out, but the 3, Gardner, Natalie, and Mark Lentini, have not submitted their papers yet, as far as I know. They're due on the 25th, which is
Correct.
next
Tuesday, I believe?
Tuesday.
Yes.
It's not the 18th, Mark? I thought it was the 18th, no?
No. The warrant articles or citizens petitions were due today at
yes, today. I
noon,
did hear that.
and I came in with my petitions
Well, did you?
at 10 minutes to 12.
They're not going to be happy.
No, the signatures on my petitions are standard.
Okay, that's no problem.
My neighborhood is very active.
Okay, you should have told me. I would have helped.
No, it was too late.
I know.
I got notified about these petitions last night at 10:30.
Okay.
So the 2 citizens petitions that I'm talking about are all related to, let me just read one. To see if the town meeting will vote to direct the town to prepare the necessary articles and meet all other requirements to repeal the zoning changes adopted to comply with the MBTA mandate or take any other action on. This petition seeks to return our community to the traditional zoning and character of our town. That's the explanation.
Did you have the attorney check it out?
You know what? I don't need an attorney to check it out. They're gonna
check
say
it out
you're
anyway.
out of order. But that's okay.
They'll
But
check
at
it out
least-
anyway.
But at least it gets on the table.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
And people have an opportunity to discuss it because they don't want anybody to discuss anything
Right.
because that makes their life difficult. The second petition that I delivered, it's not made up by me, to see if the town will vote to have the Danvers Planning Department discuss and incorporate zoning bylaw updates to specifically address the overdevelopment created by the MBTA zoning requirements of increased unit density and decreased parking requirements
Yes.
during their 2025 to 2026 normal zoning review and update public meetings.
Oh, that's a good one.
This one to me is an opinion question, which I hope the planning department and the town manager sticks his head up from his office and find out what the heck is really going on in this town.
But it's a good one because they keep telling us there's plenty of parking here. There's not plenty of parking. I'm sorry to tell you.
So these are the 2. There was one that was filed day before yesterday, and right away, Legal Beagle said, no go, you're out of line.
Of course.
So, but citizens' petitions go on the warrant, whether the attorney likes it or not, and they will be discussed and probably defeated, but they cannot be
You never know.
defeated by anyone except town meeting. The Board of Selectmen cannot send them back.
Right. they can give you unfavorable actions
No,
about it. But that's common anyways.
I know that drill.
Even the finance going to give you unfavorable. You know that too.
So, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I think it's great that you're making sure that this conversation gets had at town meeting. And in terms of overdevelopment, I think all of us see what's happened with Maple Square. We all know that that building is too big for its location. It doesn't fit the character of the neighborhood or our historic, kind of quaint downtown. I think it's not only about undoing what has been done in some cases, but it's about what else is going to happen, right? So there's a housing production plan out right now where we've had some really out there proposals, things like changing every lot in town to allow two-family or multifamily zoning by right. So I don't know if you'll be successful in undoing what's been done, but there's even more damage planned that the select board needs to stand up and say, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to keep our town a town and not allow even further overdevelopment.
Sandy?
Well, my argument is they didn't announce this to the public. So it seems like they tend to bring up these meetings and quickly go through it and don't include the residents. So my little quirky thing is, we all know when our Christmas trees are going to be picked up. Why can't they use the same method to inform the residents to say, we're holding these special meetings, we would really like your attendance and get your feedback on how you feel on these issues, and let the town people to also speak up as well. And I agree with Kevin, that building, Maple Square, it's too huge. I don't know why they didn't put the building on the Endicott Street corridor. That makes more sense. You have the highways right there, and it's right in the middle of Middleton, Peabody, and Danvers. So it'd be great access for folks who will be renting those apartments or buying them as condos. I'm not sure how they're all categorized. So I'm not sure why they didn't pull that approach. Also, lost a train of thought here. Again, with the square, too large, seems out of place. I understand some change needs to be made, but make it look more resemble to what we already have in town. Like Danvers Marketplace, why did they tear that down? Why couldn't they just build something on top? I'm not an engineer, but I play one on TV. So I don't understand all, the framework and everything. Maybe they couldn't put something on top, but just have it all be level. They have products now that they can emulate how the other buildings appear, and it doesn't have to be brick, it could be plastic. Just some way that we can cut some costs so that the town still looks like a town the way that we love it. So that's just my perspective of it. So
The one position that I've held forever is you're partially correct that very few people knew what was going on, because this zoning change is not 1 year old. This is like 4 or 5 years old.
Just heard about it though.
Well, no, because you finally, your ears spiked up and said, okay, what the heck are they doing to us? That's been done 5 years ago.
Really? That far back?
That's right. And the thing is that there have been meetings held for the public, and I've attended many of those, but then I got tired of listening to the same stuff all over again.
Which
because
one? You talking about the
planning board?
but the one for the single families being two families?
No.
That's the one I'm talking about.
That's a brand new one.
Yeah.
Now that's another
That's the
story.
point I'm getting at. Okay.
The MBTA zoning
Right.
has been
that
in
I know.
existence for at least 4 or 5, maybe even more years. However, the last town meeting that we had in February massaged a few items on there to make it comply with the legal requirements, because you know whose fault it is that this MBTA law is in place? Our legislators.
I know, that's the problem.
They have no idea what this town is about. And the thing is, they don't listen to us either.
No.
Because I know that it's been brought up to Sally and Joan Lovely. Sally is always everywhere, but the thing is, they pass these laws in the middle of the night, and then they make us all pay for it.
Well, it's true.
But let's move on.
Okay.
Let's move on. Now, going back to your two-family, or what is it called?
the
Not the ADUs that you can also.
ADUs.
Yes.
Yes. ADUs is another MBTA law
Yes.
that was passed by
not
the
good.
legislature. And the thing is, nobody knew about it. We didn't. I even didn't even know about it. And I'm pretty persistent about finding out things. So, what is your position on that ADU law? Because they claim that it's been passed and it's been accepted by all of the communities, because what they want to do is they want to make Danvers two-family homes permitted by right, basically, because that's what happens. So what do you say?
Well, I don't agree with forcing something on homeowners and such. They should have the ability to say, no, I want to be classified as a single-family home lot versus a two. So now, if you're forced to be a two-family plot lot, do you have to build? Because now it's going to change our taxes and the way they assess the property and setbacks and all this other stuff. I mean, like where I live, I'm on a ledge. I have a drop-off. I can't build a second home on my lot. So why do I have to be classified as such? So there's, it's not a one-size-fits-all. You can't do everything the same for everyone. There's just different scenarios, different situations. And then the cost of putting in a second ADU, and then you have to put in electricity and the water that we're running out of. I don't know why they want to keep building when we have no water. So, I mean, we can go on and on about that, but it just doesn't make any sense. It's something that was forced on us. It's something that they are forced on them too, because now they're getting all these grants, all this money. So now they figured the state gave them all of that. They have to do something with it, otherwise they lose funding. So it's all about the money, unfortunately. And I don't agree with that.
There is
Because we can say no to the money, but nobody wants to say no. I would say no.
See, the issue is very sensitive on the planning department and the town hall side, is that they're going to be gaining all of these grants. That is a fallacy.
Yes.
Because the grants are very limited, and they will never tell you what grants they receive because of the MBTA law or of the standard state funding. Kevin, go ahead.
So the town, I think, has managed EFLAs, extended family living areas, very similar to an ADU, pretty successfully. We have a bylaw. We've managed it pretty successfully through the planning board and the ZBA, and has some requirements in there to make sure that it really is a granny flat, as the common term goes, right? So this ADU goes far beyond that. I'm not in favor of the law because zoning should be a local issue wherever possible. Local control is the best control. Danvers knows what's best for Danvers better than the state does, and we don't need a one-size-fits-all law. That being said, we should push back where it makes sense to push back, especially on our state legislators that passed this. But we don't want to continually put Danvers in a position where we're just suing and losing and suing and losing. If something truly is the state law, we just need to buckle up and grit our teeth and do it. But I'll say maybe just one more thing about the grants that you brought up, Mark, because I think this is important. So our laws that establish our form of government and give our town its charter, right now what we're supposed to be doing is proposing a budget, right? Instead, what we do every year is propose an appropriations request. So a budget would include all the money you're spending. It would include grants. It would include state aid. It would include fees. It would include it doesn't matter the source. It's about your spending money. Right. And that's not what we get at this stage of the process right now. So I want to make sure in the future that our budgets include all the money that each town is spending, not just the money they're asking the town meeting to appropriate.
Welcome aboard. This is a claim that I've been making for 35 years now. Zero-based budgeting is an appropriate method of determining what is needed and what is actually required, because there are wants and there are needs. So we need to determine that. But our town and our government right now only wants what's maximum available for their use so they can spend it. So, but that's my position, and I'll stick to it.
You're right, Mark. And another problem, too, is the more money you give them, the more they spend, okay? They have to cut back a little bit and give us a break somehow, okay? They just keep spending, and even if they get more money, it seems like they've already got to allocate it to go somewhere. So we're back in trouble again. We have to ring it in a little bit.
Well, see, this brings me to my next subject that I've identified on here, and that was a good segue. Town finances. What are your positions currently as candidates, because you have had a taste of the budget review? You don't have last year's budget. I mean, this is detailed, and the thing is that this year's budget is no different, except it's 3-4% higher than it was last year. And all of that 3 or 4% comes from real estate tax revenue. The state has not increased their portion. The taxes on meals and hotels and everything else have all increased. Excise tax has increased because we're buying more cars. So the thing is, this is a perfect entrance into what are your positions in regard to the finances of the town. Kevin?
Sure, I'll start. So we need to be, I think Mike Bean, when he was running last year and on this very show, I think said it very well, that we need to be efficient, right? So right now, we're only allowed to increase our levy plus new growth by 2.5% every year, as you all know.
That's by law.
Right. So the amount of new money coming in is going to be limited. We've been lucky in that we have some kind of one-offs where we're getting some free cash right now that's helping us float a little bit. But we are in general right up on that levy limit, and that's affecting our credit rating, right? That because we are showing our creditors that we are not we're spending within our means, but we have no room left to increase our spending. And the citizens of this town have rejected debt exclusions, Prop 2.5 overrides, the Community Preservation Act. So I don't think any select board, no matter who's elected, should go in there thinking that there will be a significant new source of tax revenue. The citizens of this town have to approve it, and they've rejected it over and over and over again. So we need to look for efficiencies. We need to regionalize some services where possible. That's one possible avenue. I think, I'm a veteran, and I look at the veterans, regionalization of services that includes like Newburyport, Amesbury, and some other smaller communities in that area. They're able to regionalize those services, offer better services, a bigger variety of services for less money for each town because they're pooling their resources to do something together. So I think that's one possible opportunity that we have to look at for our finances. But we need to scrutinize each budget line. And like you said, there should be a lot more lines in that town budget, because the way it is now, it's impossible for our elected officials and our FinCom to really go line by line and try to make a smart cut because they group so many things together. It's impossible to cut, and it's that way by design.
Yes.
Thank you. One thing that triggered in my mind when you said that you're a veteran, nobody knows you are a veteran. So would you give us a little background of your military duties?
Oh, sure. Happy to. So I joined the Army in 2003. I served in a military intelligence role. They sent me to language school in California. I learned Arabic, and I deployed to Iraq for a year. So specifically, I did human intelligence. I talked to people to get information, as opposed to people that squint at satellite pictures and listen to communications intercepts and things like that. So
you were a spy.
Well,
Don't announce it.
You can't tell anybody.
No comments.
No, but that is a trait of responsibility. And I never knew that. So what I wanted to bring up, and some of these things do come up. Sandy, do you have any military service?
No, I do not.
Well, that's okay, but you have duties raising your family.
Correct, yes.
That's a military service.
Yes. A lot of roles playing in that
There
role.
you go. So, Sandy, in regard to the position on the finances, you mentioned that you went through the Saturday long
Yes, I was
budget
there.
hearing.
Yes.
That is a waste of time, but that's my position.
I just wanted
and
to
I'll stick
familiarize myself with the process and everything, especially running for the office as
you,
well.
you,
so.
you could have talked to me and I would have given you the same thing in about 15 minutes. But, so what are your findings? What do you think is happening with the finances of this town? Because you heard the budget.
Yes.
What are we getting into?
A lot. Well, there's just certain factors and certain utilities that we have. For example, our garbage, our waste. We now had to pay $200 extra for an electric arm. That's basically all we're paying for. And I don't like the fact that it's restrictive. We don't have unlimited recycling like we used to. And then way back when, the town used to get stipends. They would get money back for all the recycling that we turned in. What happened to that income? They used to, just trying to familiarize myself. I'm not sure why we don't have that same system. So that's bringing some revenue in for us. And whenever I used to get my electric bill, they had the flyer, which I really appreciate that the electric company does that. And it lists all the information, and they would boast about how much money was coming in from our recycling. Why was that taken away? I don't understand.
Well, it's not a matter of the town taking it away. It's the marketplace that took
is
it
it?
away.
Okay.
I've worked on recycling plants in Maine, and those are gone now.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Because the cost of collecting the recycled waste is much more than what they can sell the cardboard or a newspaper or whatever. So the efficiency that has changed.
I'm surprised
But-
a lot of companies try to use recycled materials for
Yes.
their products. So I'm surprised that that's occurring.
But they're all in China.
Oh, that's it.
What is it? They sold us a bag of goods. They always do this to us. Okay, they tell us it's going to be great and everything else, and then all of a sudden, boom, they pull back.
Well, that was 20 years ago
I know.
that was sold.
I never really
because-
wanted to do it, but I mean, I learned how to do it. Now that we know how to do it, slap in the face. It's no good.
Sometimes I don't even take the blue barrel out at all because there's nothing in it. So let's move on because I think we're getting into time. Town manager expectations is the next issue that I wanted to talk about because you will be in a position to dictate policies for that town manager because he is your employee and our employee in a way, but he cannot do a lot of the things that an elected official can do, but the selectmen need to give him direction. Guidance or direction. Guidance is more important. So what about it, Kevin? What do you expect with the new town manager, and what guidance would you provide to her? Because we know it's Jill now. We need to get more information on Jill, and I'll get that. The thing is, what are your expectations, and how do you maneuver into her role? Because we have a strong Town Manager Act and a very weak Select Board Act, because our Select Board members don't have the guts to make decisions, and they delegate it all to the town manager. So, what about it?
So I think my advice to Jill starting out would be the same advice I would give to any leader coming into a new organization. You first need to observe, and then you need to act. So you unless barring some crisis, you would not want someone to come into a new organization and immediately start taking actions. They need to get the lay of the land. They need to talk to the board. They need to talk to their direct reports, and figure out what's going on and generate their ideas of how they can make that better, and then come back to the board after 30, 60, 90 days and say, here are my ideas, here's what I like to do, and then get the feedback. And Jill seems like a thoughtful person. I'm sure she'll do something along those lines. I think in the Town Manager Act, though, one of the town manager's responsibilities is, and any other task given to the town manager by the select board. And I think that has not been used very well by select boards over the course of time. And that occurs not by one member saying, hey, you know what I'd really like? Because one member has no authority. Only the board has authority. So members should not be afraid to put an item on the agenda, raise their hand and say, Mr. Chairman, Madam Chairwoman, I would like to move that the board instruct the town manager to do the following, right? And so give the town manager a task, and the town manager is responsible for carrying it out. It doesn't work if just one member of the board is
Right.
kind of carping at the manager.
What I always claim is that it has to be done by a motion.
Yes.
I propose,
rules,
I
right?
motion to do this, and then you get your second, because you need to have that second available to you, and you need to know that in your head.
Yep. So I think also the board has a tremendous role to play in policy. Right.
That's what it's all about.
Yep. And so if I'm elected, I will put in the hard work to help formulate those policies. Right. Not ask the town to make a policy and then say we'll vote it up or down. The board really needs to be involved in policy development. And I'll tell you a key area where we need it: a policy on fees. Right. So we need to understand what's the cost basis for every fee, because that's part of the case law on fees. Our fees are not supposed to be general revenue generating. They're supposed to pay for a specific service. Who's in charge of approving whether a new fee can be implemented? So we don't
Town meeting.
Well, so we don't wind up in another situation like last time where the town manager said it was him, the board said, okay, we support you, and then it turns out it was the board all along.
Yep.
That could approve it. We don't want to be in that situation. So we need to get a handle on fees, make sure we understand what our fees are, what the cost basis for them is, if they're fair, and frankly, where we can reduce them and lessen the impact on the residents.
Sandy?
Well, I was kind of surprised that they didn't have an observation time for Jill to see, so she can get acclimated with the town and all the different bylaws and such that we follow. I'm surprised that they don't do that with her and give her that chance to see if this is something that she actually wants to take on or not. So, but I agree with Kevin, there's a lot of areas that we need to factor in on and kind of bring that control back to the board and say that this is how things should be run, and put this forth to her and let her know what our ideas are and what we would like to have accomplished and put through. So, and then get feedback from the residents as well, because these fees are outrageous. I look at my electric bill and there's all these little charges that they're putting in, and I'm not sure what it's for. And then there's a little caption on the bottom and it describes stuff, but I'm like, at least dictate, like, let us know, is it a meter reading, and how many of those do we have a year, and how many times are you going to charge us for that, just certain things like that. I know it's a little petty, but it would just be nice to just know detail by detail exactly where these prices are going and how exactly they're going to use that money then afterwards. Are they going to upgrade the meters now because they have that little extra amount of money? Just just some feedback, that's all. Don't laugh, I'm trying here.
No,
you're doing a good job.
that's
You're
not the point at
I know.
all.
No.
He's laughing because this
I
is
agree with you.
nothing new.
The reason being,
Okay.
I got a true family the other day, okay? I had the lights all shut off, nothing going on.
Yes.
The
But you get
fees were almost
fees.
as much as the electricity.
Yes,
That's how
yes,
stupid it is.
It is. So, and it's like people really should pay attention to the billing. Check everything that's itemized there. Speak up, say something, ask, what exactly are these charges and what are they used for?
Well, let me just throw another
Okay,
log
yes,
on
I
the
know.
fire here, because I think your first opportunity is going to come about in regard to the town manager review committee that has just been, well, they've exercised their review, but they have not come up with a final report, because that's where the limitations of the town manager are included. And to date, it's been run as, rampant all over the place, because the town manager took control of the management of the town, because the selectmen do not have any policies to direct them. So the setting of the committees, appointment of the committees, is one of the major items on the Town Manager Act. And not enough people are looking at that or even understand how that's being done. The only committee that the Board of Selectmen appoints is the Zoning Board of Appeals. And I think they took on the DEI committee. That's another issue for another day.
That's got to go.
Well, that's another issue for another day,
I
Tony.
understand. I mean, I'm
Well,
not
we
being
don't want to
funny.
get
No, I
these
understand.
two
No.
involved in that.
And we don't get them. Yeah, exactly.
That's something that needs to be resolved, and it will be. The town manager expectations. What do you think the town manager will be able to help us with? Because now we're looking from the other side of the curtain. What can the new town manager, whether it's a man, woman, or whoever, can do to help us? And I think that's what's going to be driving the Board of Selectmen in the next 6 to 9 months. So, Sandy, what do you think?
Just to be open-minded about things and to just hear us through and listen to what we want to put forth and what we feel will work best for the town.
Who's we?
The select board, if we're elected,
Okay.
yes. So just to have an open mind and just to be willing to just listen to us. We don't have to agree on everything, but at least give us a chance to voice our opinions and such. So that's,
Okay, Kevin?
Yeah,
Because I have my own comments.
I know,
on
but
that.
we're running out of time, so I don't want to.
That's all right. No,
Okay.
we got plenty of time.
So I think we have some staffing decisions that are coming up, and some staffing decisions
Organization.
that we've deferred on, right? So we have some department heads that are vacant, and I think it was a good decision to leave those vacant, let the new town manager pick those people, and maybe change the structure around a little bit, right? So we have a lot. So if we look at when Wayne Marquis left office to when Steve Bartha started, since that time, we've got $1.5 million in new spending on department heads. We've increased the structure,
numbers.
the number
It's that much, huh?
of in town government by quite a bit. So I think this is a great time, especially since some positions are vacant, for the new town manager to look at the structure and see what we can do to make it the most efficient that it can be. I think also we need to start planning for succession now. I was really a little disappointed that when Mr. Bartha left, there were no internal candidates that wanted the job. So I think one of the most important things a leader can do is to grow other leaders. I think that expectation for Ms. Cahill needs to be clear, that we expect good succession planning. We expect her to help find and groom the next town manager, her replacement, and to have that person ready.
And that's where the policies that are determined to be important by the Board of Selectmen, with the understanding that the town manager would embrace those, because that's the reflection of the town.
It might have been by design, though. The town manager might have been by design to do it that way.
Right, maybe.
That's the sad
So,
part.
just, we have 2 minutes left. I mean, the time flew by,
Tell
but
me about it.
what I like to do is give Sandy an opportunity. No, Sandy was first before, so let's Kevin go first.
Okay.
As a closing statement, and let's ask for everybody to go out and vote, because that's what we need.
Yeah, great. So, Mark, thank you very much for the invitation today. I think it was a great discussion. There's so much more we could talk about, but please, if you are interested in learning more about me as a candidate, I have a Facebook page, easy to search for me. VoteKevinBerich.com is my website. If you're interested, I'd love to have you be involved in the campaign. And I'm looking forward to the rest of this campaign. Hopefully we get another forum with all the candidates up here, and we could talk about our views some more. But I'm very grateful to this town. I was raised here in this town, and thought enough of it to come back and raise my kids here. I want the best for this town and all the people in it, and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you so much.
Well, I put the sign behind you because they were in the back, and I think we need to know who you are, and thank you for being here.
Credit, all the credit to my wife Sarah for the graphic design on that sign.
Well, she must be military too.
She did the Army colors for me.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
Sandy.
Yes.
It's your
well,
turn.
my signs aren't in yet. They'll be here tomorrow. So
All right.
I just want to be the. Oh, there it is.
There
Thank
you go.
All right.
There you go.
There it is. So I just wanted to let everyone know, I want to be your voice. I want to hear from you, the residents, and let me know exactly what you're upset about and what would you like to see changed. And I'm willing and able to listen to you and be happy to help out in any way that I can. I really appreciate your vote. I don't have a website like Kevin, but I do have an email account if you'd like to reach out to me. It's sandy@cleverinsights.com. And I really appreciate your vote. Thank you so much. And thank you, Mark, for having us on. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you for being
You
here.
too, Tony. Thank you.
and
No problem.
Tony, you're steady over
Yeah,
here.
it is. Yeah.
So good night, Danvers. Good afternoon. Good
Bye.
morning. Whatever.
Love you, Danvers.